Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Vice Media. We're going to talk about journalist layoffs. We're going to talk about how Vice executives reportedly were paid over $1 million in bonuses the day after they laid off their workers. And
Of course.
Of course. And their workers are now having to go to GoFundMe to get some money. So
And they only have $32,000 raised.
they only have $32,000 raised for all of these workers. In the weeks that this has been up. So we're going to talk about this. Vice is not paying its bills. Apparently, its reporters can't even get court records because they don't want to pay the whatever 25 cents or whatever it is to do that. They have like no money. And this is kind of like, this is how it's all going to end for a lot of these websites. We've been talking about this for months, years. Years. We said this is not sustainable, but Vice, I think we're going to find out more than other websites. It was definitely a shell game. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. If you do, you'll get a woohoo. Woohoo! So let's see here. Where should we start? Vice ran out of money for everyone except its executives. This is coming from Hellgate, New York City.
Oh, okay.
New documents from the Vice bankruptcy proceedings tell a tale as old as digital media, which
I don't think it's just digital media. I think it's a tale as old as the house always wins.
Yep, the house always wins. So Katie here worked for Vice for 3.5 years, from 2019 until February of 2023, which is 3 years longer than she expected to be there. And so the company was notorious at that time for layoffs dressed up as reorganizations, and the axe dangling above our heads was palpable the entire time she worked there. But now, after all those layoffs, they're basically shutting the company down. I think they got bought by one of their investors for dirt cheap. But apparently, the executives were paid over $1 million in bonuses, according to Huffington Post, which she linked to, the day after the layoffs. So the company went bankrupt in May. It axed over 100 jobs before cutting huge checks for senior management.
I will agree with the writers on this one. If the company was so shit, and it was so bad that you had to sell it for cheap, and it was going bankruptcy, then the executives did not deserve bonuses. There should be no reason these people got bonuses, and the money you spent to pay those bonuses to these executives could have gone to, offer things to the writers or whatever. But I can't understand it. It's like the Kathleen Kennedy effect. When you fail is terrible, why do you get more money for it? Why do you get rewarded for your failure? Because they haven't set up that they always get their golden parachutes.
Yes.
All the golden showers rain upon everyone beneath them.
That is it. They're getting their golden parachute, and they're taking a golden shower on all the grunts, right? So according to the Huffington Post, executives of Vice Media were paid massive bonuses in the weeks before the company went bankrupt in May, reportedly leaving it unable to pay its laid-off staff and freelancers for months.
So they paid these bonuses to the people who ran to the ground instead of paying the other people.
Yeah. New court filings confirm earlier reports from Semaphore that Vice senior executives received performance-related, that's funny, retention bonuses totaling over $1 million. And on April 28th, one day after the company announced a painful round of layoffs. Vice's head of news, Subrata Day, received a $201,000 bonus. Her department was gutted by the cancellation of Vice News Tonight. Several other executives who already commanded salaries in the $600,000 to $800,000 range received six-figure bonuses, while the company slashed over 100 jobs from its 1,500-person workforce. They filed for bankruptcy in mid-May and has struggled to pay its laid-off staffers and freelancers both back pay and severance.
So, that's just what I'm saying, though. If you don't have enough to pay your people the basic and stuff that you owe them, you shouldn't be given performance-based incentives to managers who ran the company into the ground.
Right.
And overhired or whatever else happened.
And they'll say, well, they're freelancers, so they're contractors. This happens in comics.
You don't get severance and back pay a lot of times if you're freelancers. No. So they don't sound like that to me.
No.
They said laid off staffers, too.
Yeah. So there we go. Semaphore reports that the company was unable to pay severance for laid-off workers in April and May, and that earlier this month, an HR representative for the company announced that July severance payments would also be delayed. According to Vice Union, these delays have left former staffers unable to afford necessities like rent and medical care.
Well, welcome to the reality for most people.
Unfortunately, forcing them to set up their GoFundMe. We saw that it was only $32,000. I guess if they're just pulling money for themselves and they don't have any money, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. You know? So this is what's funny though about this. And again, I'm not trying to dunk on unions, but they think that being unionized is going to protect them.
No.
Not necessarily.
They're unionized here. They're trying to get their severance and back pay they were promised, but they don't have the money to give you that because they gave it to the, people who ran their company into the ground.
Yep. So they put a scathing tweet up. They're still using Twitter, right? Vice Union responded to the court filings in a statement on Twitter Tuesday morning in which it accused the company of rampant mismanagement and corporate greed.
Well, it kind of sounds that way.
It does sound that way. This happens to a lot of people. There were companies that go out, they've gone out for various reasons, and the executives make sure that they get paid. I had a guy, the one company I worked at was one of the senior managers, and they fired him basically, but they had to buy his contract out, and they paid him a lot of money.
That's a contract. These are bonuses due to, performance-based bonuses, and you're going bankrupt? I think that would negate a performance-based bonus.
Yeah, I think that is kind of a default failure. Like if you go bankrupt, it's game over. There's no bonus for anybody because you guys have failed to keep this company afloat. Less than 24 hours after the layoffs, these execs pocketed their money like so many Vice executives have before them as they ran the company into the ground. We as a union cannot change any of that now. All we can say to these executives is, we see you. Representatives for the Vice Union told HuffPost on Wednesday they are outraged by the bonuses, saying Vice, formerly valued in the billions, that was never true.
No.
I mean, it was true that they had everybody convinced they were worth that much, but they were never worth that much. This whole thing is a Ponzi scheme. Mm-hmm. This whole thing, all of this digital media is a fucking Ponzi scheme. It was all about getting more and more and more venture capital, which went to the executives, and then at the end of it, they just fuck over all the people that worked for them. I mean, that's how it works. It was ultimately bankrupted by bad business decisions made by management. I don't think there were any business decisions. I think it was just how much money can we get? We've now learned that on the same day union members were laid off, and just days before the filing of the bankruptcy, Vice's management shamelessly rewarded themselves with nearly $1 million in bonus pay.
So they rewarded themselves with $1 million in bonus pay, laid everybody off the next day, and then it went into bankruptcy a couple days after that.
Yeah.
And then they didn't think anybody would find out?
In before a lock. It didn't matter if they found out. Well,
it matters if people see it and they're like, what the hell?
It does.
Their names are listed.
But they filed for bankruptcy. So these are creditors. These are people that they owe, and they may or may not pay them back. They might settle with some of these people. Freelancers always get fucked over. I mean, that's true. This sucks that it's staff, but like when comic book companies go belly up, a lot of times you find out that they had months and months of unpaid freelance work, and because they look at.
We've been there ourselves.
Yeah, they look at freelancers as being a plumber or a contractor.
That's why we pay ours like every week.
We do pay ours every week, yes.
Yeah, because we've been there where they were sitting out. We have 60 days to pay it. And you're like, but wait a minute,
Yeah, and I think that arrangement works well for us. I mean, both with our writers and our creatives, is we pay them weekly or biweekly or whatever the agreement is whenever they invoice us, and their way of making sure that they don't get effed over is they don't give us any more work until they get paid for the work they've already done.
Right.
What happens with a lot of these companies is they just keep running up that bar tab, and people are afraid to tell them no because I'm not doing any more work for you until you pay for what I've already done. Well, then you're not doing any more work for us ever.
Yeah.
So they're afraid. So they're outraged. This is the union. Meanwhile, the union retained a bankruptcy attorney and is fighting for every cent owed to members. Laid off employees have yet to receive any severance and are likely to get significantly less than what they're owed because of the bankruptcy proceedings.
Yeah, but they made sure before they declared bankruptcy, they gave themselves their bonuses.
So this is on Huffington Post, which I think Huffington Post is owned by BuzzFeed now, one of these, Vox or whatever. This is how all these digital websites are going to end. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you right now, this is what's going to happen. It's all going to end in tears.
Unless you're one of the higher ups and you end up with money.
All of these journos that have spent years attacking fans, attacking YouTubers, whatever, they're going to wind up getting kicked to the curb.
Well, it's kind of karma
Just
in
like
the way
this.
that you look at it, in the fact that not everyone, but a lot of people went into established places, into warm seats, and then went in and proceeded to spend years, attacking the fans, attacking the readers, devaluing the company. That being said, the management was still in charge and could have stopped it. A lot of the managers were in on it too. But at the end of the day, what's that? You make the bullets and someone else fires them.
Yep.
So the managers made the bullets, had these guys fire them, and then they take the money and everybody else gets, nothing.
Yeah. So they said that they were valued at $5.7 billion in 2017.
Legitimately.
Hell no. So this is Joseph Cox. Today at Vice, I was unable to pull a court record, which costs 10 cents because the company isn't paying their bills. Meanwhile, so many executives, some which led Vice to bankruptcy, make $700,000 to $900,000, including bonuses. At the time, Vice laid off much cheaper workers. It's worse than I thought. I've run into this too. The one company I worked for, I knew things were bad because we were no longer being extended any credit. Because we used to do...
Well, yeah, you had to do all the phone calls. People were like, why aren't we getting paid? And you're like, wait, you didn't get paid?
I was getting yelled at for bills that were 90 plus days past due for marketing expenses, whether it's... Because, I didn't get to actually pay the bills myself. We had to turn it into... the people downstairs, we'd give them the invoices.
Your budget, they supposedly paid the bills.
They were supposed to pay the bills. So I knew things were bad, and this was about 2 months before I got laid off. I knew things were bad because the bills were not getting paid. And what they were doing is they were kind of going down the line in order of importance. They're like, well, are we going to spend any more money on advertising? No. So fuck the advertising, people. Don't pay the bills. Are we going to buy any more jerseys to give out to customers? No, fuck those people. We're not going to pay.
Go find somebody else to go through later.
Right, and
burn those bridges.
Yeah, and the problem is some of those bridges were bridges that I helped build because I knew those people from previous jobs. Mm-hmm. So they were looking at me like I'm stiffing them, and I'm like, no, I basically turned the invoice in, and the people downstairs, accounting, they were supposed to pay it. Accounts payable, and they weren't doing it.
They approved it when I, did it.
Right. And then I caught wind that one of our CFO was actually going and trying to find more loans and stuff. I'm like, okay, something's definitely not good here. Something is not good. So yeah, when you can't even get a court record for 10 cents, you're fucked. The company is just completely screwed. And this does suck. I mean, I am very sorry to tell you that just being in a union does not mean you're going to get every cent you're owed. And I think that so many of these other companies are going to end like this. I think Media, I think BuzzFeed, I think they're all going to wind up going down this road. They'll just file for bankruptcy, and then you're basically on the list of people that they have to pay eventually, and they're going to pay the big bills first. They're going to pay the government first. They're going to pay you when they get to you, if they ever get to you. And that's just kind of the way it works. So if you'd like to help a starving journalist, you can go to GoFundMe, Vice Union. They need some money. $32,000 raised. There it is.
Over how many days?
When did they start this? This was a while ago. So yeah, they have $32,000, but Geeky just caught that they disabled new donations. So it was between 9 days ago. So for about 2 weeks, I guess they ran it for about 2 weeks. They got $32,000. But again, to be fair, a lot of these journos are probably the only ones that would be sympathetic or other journalists, which are in the exact same position they're in right now. Mm-hmm. I don't know what to tell you. I think this is how it's going to end for people working at Gamurs Group. This is how it's going to end for people working at Media. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if you're a union or not. You can still get screwed over. And I'm sorry. I think you should have been on the right side of the readership, and you should have worked on cultivating your own audience instead of spending years attacking people, because now you might have to go, like, you could make it as an independent journalist if you had an audience that would support you and you had a lot of people that would support you. But if you've been shitting on these people for the last 5 or 6 years, they're going to remember your name and be like, oh, you're that person that said I was a Nazi because I didn't like the new Star Wars.
Well, I was just looking here. They said that they got this agreement to get severance pay in 2021. But again, just because they agree to pay you severance pay doesn't mean they're actually going to do it. Right.
So there we go, guys. This is how it all ends. It's all ending. Everything is ending. So I'm going to wrap this video up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk later.
Bye.
Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.